Hello and welcome everyone to the interview series Be the Woman Men Adore. I'm your host Shazza Chakra, and today I have the honor to interview a woman who I adore, Jacquie Somerville. Jacquie Somerville is bold, irrelevant, spiritual, funny, and natural-born storyteller, best-selling author, and a passion coach. She empowers women to become confident, sexy magnets to the love and life they desire. Jacquie teaches that perfect combination of love, sex, and romance elevates and motivates us to energetically like nothing else. And when we allow ourselves to acknowledge this power and harness it, we can unleash our staggering potential, open the windows to opportunity, and doors to our greatness. Jacquie draws on a lifetime of challenging and rewarding experiences, a lifetime of pushing the envelope, taking big risks, and challenging the status quo. She's been married a few times, immigrated twice, been fat, slim, broke, rich, and followed her gut to a life of excitement, adventure, passion, and purpose. Jacquie, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're so welcome, Shaza. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. Jacquie, being the amazing speaker and the storyteller that you are, I would really love to start with the story of Jacquie. Have you always been this confident and the sexy magnet that you are today? Because I've had the privilege of meeting you in person a few times, and you walk in and you just exude confidence. And I'd love to ask you, where does it all come from?
So I have to say that, no, I have not always had it. So, if people don't feel confident, not to worry. It is a process and it's not that difficult. So, I think that I was born a fairly sort of feisty kid. But, over the years, just like with everybody, we get bombarded with society's stuff and people, putting stuff in our heads that we're not good enough, that we're not slim enough, that we're not, all the stuff pretty enough, all the things that girls deal with to this day. And so I had all of that. And so, I gained a bunch of weight in my teenage years and certainly in my 20s. And that made me feel self-conscious. And definitely took away a lot of the confidence. And I went to an all-girls boarding school. Wow. So, so when it came to men, I really didn't know much about them at all.
I have a hard time believing that, knowing the woman that I know today, but wow, that is fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, so so these things are developed, and look, I'm a naturally curious person, and I'm sort of an observant person. So I would always observe things and kind of adapt and adjust. And I have to say that going to that all-girls boarding school with wealthy people and so on, and observing how they behaved and how they interacted, and meeting some of the fathers of my girlfriends in high school was an interesting thing for me, because I had this sort of a great relationship with some of the fathers, in terms of I just connected with them. They enjoyed my company, and I learned how to interact with them just by observing how successful, and in those days, there were very few successful women to observe in terms of careers and stuff like that, but observing how these men behaved and interacted and were in the world was very interesting to me. And so I learned confidence from them. I learned banter and how to relate to people of all different, people who were super wealthy, people who were very confident. So that was a very interesting thing for me. So in actual fact, going to an all-girls boarding school and meeting those kinds of people during the holidays was quite impactful on me.
Wow, that's really, really awesome. And you mentioned curiosity. Curiosity, I find it a very feminine trait in general, and you made the best out of a situation, but there were no men, well, in your immediate, but the fathers of the girls, and your natural curiosity just allowed you to connect with them more and just to learn and learn and learn more. That's amazing.
Yeah, and and I had big dreams and big goals, and so I would look at everybody going, okay, well, how are they being in the world and how are they achieving what they, and it was, as I said, was the men, because there were no women role models in those particular fields for me growing up. And so I guess I did learn also how to relate to men and how to be confident with men during that process. But really what I was looking for was, how do I get that dream life? How do I make that money? How do I get to live my dreams? And so it was observing them, and in so doing, becoming really good at relating to men. And feeling really confident with men throughout that process of really wanting to learn how to become successful and so on. So it was a very interesting path.
Very interesting indeed. Very, very different way of looking at it. And I love the keyword, who were they being? It wasn't like, what were they doing, but who were they being to attract all the success and all that. I really, really love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So then, interestingly enough, I went to university and I studied agriculture. So I went from an all-girls boarding school to being literally, in my first year at agricultural management, there were 3 girls and 70 guys in the class. By second year, we were down to 2 girls. And so I went from the frying pan, like there were no men around, to being just men. And that was very interesting too. And so I wasn't confident physically and I wasn't confident sexually, but I was certainly confident in terms of relating, conversing, being sort of one of the group and so on at that time. And so again, that sort of continued on how to relate to men and how to be confident with, lots and lots of men. And then I ended up in the motor car industry, again, male dominated completely.
Wow, yeah.
And again, those sort of skills were honed, how to relate to men, how to not take myself too seriously when, they were the sort of dominant force. And so, that's all sort of led to the person that I am today.
Amazing. And I really can relate to that, Jackie, because I went to engineering. I was a civil engineer, and 10 girls, 90 something boys in the class. And by the end, there were like 4 or 5 of us left. So it was definitely a different experience. It was so male dominated, but I learned a lot. I learned how to be in my masculine energy a lot by being around all those men. And that's where I struggle with. I kind of disconnected with my feminine because I was trying to be relevant and compete with all these men. So the sense of curiosity and knowing how to relate to men instead of being one of them, I think is so, so key from what I'm getting from you.
Yeah, because, for some reason, I think it's because I never saw myself as being intellectual. I saw myself as being, my sister was the smart one and I was maybe the pretty one and not so smart. And so that was sort of my limiting belief about myself. And so I didn't go in there trying to compete with them at all. I went in there to use my sort of feminine. I used my looks and my feminine wilds. And so my thing was flirting. Like I learned how to flirt with them. And that was my big thing. My whole university career was all just about flirting with men.
That's amazing. I love that.
I used to tease them and they would want to, anybody wanted to sleep with me, I'd run away. It's like crazy. But I certainly learned how to tease and flirt like crazy. And that was sort of, that became my kind of tools that were to being, in and to getting through university was through flirting and using that side of my talents.
Absolutely. And it's such an art. It's such an art to be flirting, meaning just to be open to just receive as much as attention as you want. And you can always say no when it's getting too, like crossing your boundary. But it's definitely an art that women really, really need to tap into to bring in more attention and the juiciness of what the romantic life can have for them.
Absolutely.
I love that. My next question for you, Jackie, is that how can a single woman who wants to attract a perfect partner have a blast while she is in the process of dating? I hear from women all the time that dating feels, like a chore. It's exhausting. What if that first date again goes nowhere, or it goes somewhere and they get their hearts broken? What advice do you have for women who really want to have the relationship of their dreams, but they find the process challenging?
Okay, so this is the really powerful sentence that I want people to write down and take note of.
Yes,
It
ready to do
is
that.
this: have high standards and no expectations.
Woo!
High standards and no expectations.
I need to write that down.
Yes. So women go into this dating process with all these expectations, and that is where the grief comes. Drop the expectations, have none. Be just curious about life. All you're doing is going out and meeting a stranger. How great is that? Who knows what's going to come of it? Maybe nothing, maybe a lesson, maybe a business partner, maybe a friend. It doesn't matter. Drop the expectation that you're going to go and meet some guy who's going to become your lover or your husband or whatever. Just, that's the problem. And so if we go about dating with zero expectations and just allow it to be whatever it's meant to be, it can be so much fun. So you have high standards in that you don't, you know what you are and are not available for in this life, and you don't, take somebody home that you don't want to take home because they don't meet up with your standards. So that's where the difference comes in. You have high standards about what you're available for in your world, and your standards don't have to be the same as anybody else's. There's no moral judgment here. Your own standards. So you have your own standards that you stick to, and you have zero expectations of the other person. That's the key to it all.
I love that. I love that so much. It takes the pressure off that not every single day that you go on, he needs to be the one. He needs to be your perfect partner. You can actually go have fun and just have a drink and have a conversation and practice saying no. Practice, every tool that use the dating world as your oyster, just as a way of growing. So when the perfect partner shows up, then you practice so much that you can relax.
Yes, exactly right. That's it. And it can be so much fun. I do know what I'm speaking about because I've been on Tinder and Bumble and all sorts of things in recent years, and it's been kind of fun. And I've had a lot of fun with it. I have met some lunatics, let me tell you. I mean, there are some nuts people out there. But I just love it because I love good stories. And so I've got 1 million books more left in me. I've written 2 books already, but they're just going to keep coming because everybody I meet is so fascinating. And I go into it with this curiosity of, wow, like that was a great story. I mean, people love my stories. So for me, it's just like, well, it was another story.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but I've also met some incredible people. I'm actually dating just a fantastic guy right now that I met on a friggin' app, Oh,
I love that. I love that so much. I hear that there are so many freaks on the dating apps. Sure, but so there are in the real world. It's just another avenue. And you don't have to marry every lunatic you meet. You just get what they have, which I love. It's a funny story, and who can run out of those? Like, it's so amazing to have that perspective. I love that so much.
Yeah, start a blog. It's kind of like with sales. I love what Jack Canfield says. He goes, every no gets you closer to a yes. Go out today and see how many no's you can get.
Oh, I love that. I hope everyone's taking down these takeaways. So good. Sorry, carry on. I just got it.
Yeah, it's the same thing with dating. You go, okay, let me see how many no's I can get today. How many rejections can I get? And you turn it into a game. It's like, make it a game. It is meant to be fun. And, faith comes into all of this, doesn't it? When we have faith in something, that something's got our back, and I have undying faith in universal intelligence and divine intelligence, whatever you want to call it. And so I know that whatever is going on, it's always working out for me. It's always unfolding for me exactly as it should. So this guy was just some kind of a fun story in my book. And this one is one I'm dating for months and having an incredible time with and an enlightening, experience with. And so it's all just meant to be. And because I know that I'm divinely guided at all times, I just let it go. It's just allow it to be whatever it's meant to be.
Love it. Love it so much. Full-time faith. Everything's happening for you.
Yes.
I love that. Love that. If you can take whatever that person or situation has for you in order for you to get a step closer or grow bigger and learn, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Exactly.
It's amazing. I really, really love that. Thank you for that, Jackie. I hope that everyone is rewatches it at least and take these really golden nuggets down. It's really, really gold.
Good.
One more question for you. Jackie, you, like I said, exude confidence and sexy. So I read in your post and in your brand, and you talk about unleashing the sexy. And I love this term so much because it says you don't need to learn from the outside how to be sexy. It's already within you. You just
Yes.
have to unleash it. So where does a woman who has lost touch with her sexy start to reconnect with it and bring that force from her to draw in high quality men?
Right. So there is a belief and a phrase that kind of defines everything that I teach. And it's this: how we feel about ourselves determines our entire life. So the big thing is, what does one need to do to feel great about yourself? So with that, I always start with the basics. And I have this thing where I call it the 6 or 7 S's of fabulous. And it's spirituality, sensuality, it's surroundings, it's sleep, it's sweat, it's sustenance.
Ooh.
So it's the basics, right? It's what are you putting into your body? So you do need to, give your body the right nutrition and so on. You need to move. So sweat. So when we go out and we do the stuff that makes us feel good, how we feel about ourselves determines our entire life. It determines the attitude that we put out to the world. In other words, our sexy factor. And it determines what we therefore attract back to us. So how does one feel better about oneself? You do what you need to do to feel good. Number one, what are you putting into your body? And look, I am by no means an angel on this. I love chocolate. I love vodka. I love steak. I love all of those things. But for me, I just listen to my body. What works for me? And it's not necessarily what works for other people. But I know if I wake up in the morning feeling sluggish, I know that it's not anybody else's fault but what I put in my body the night before. So if you listen to your body and you're really honest about it, you know what's right for your body. So I try to do what's best for my body in terms of that, but without like being restrictive and crazy about it. Secondly, I exercise every single day. Exercise is the key to me feeling great about myself, to having mental clarity, to feeling good spiritually, all of that. Exercise is absolutely key. And again, you get to choose what you do. Even if you just dance to hip hop or whatever for half an hour in your lingerie every morning in the bathroom mirror, like whatever it is for you, just move your body. Music is another huge thing that makes one feel sexy and stuff. Spirituality is a big thing, your connection with God, your connection with yourself, things like meditating and praying, really key. So we could go on here forever, but it's all the things, it's the basics. When you take care of the basics, the big stuff takes care of itself. So how are you doing to feel really great about you? Because when you feel great about you, that's the magnetism you're putting out to the world. That's the sexy.
That is the
It's
sex.
that simple.
It is really, what I hear is self-care, self-love. Just give yourself as if you are the sexiest woman on earth. Just keep on making her feel sexy within you by giving her, the nutrition, the practices, the rituals that a goddess, sexy goddess deserves.
Yes.
And then she will emerge.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
When we take care of those basic things and we do what's right by us and by our bodies, then we are happy people, and happy people are irresistible to others. And so you naturally become sexy when you are in that state of magnetism and you're irresistible to others. Right? And you walk down the street with a spring in your step and people notice, God, I get hit on at traffic lights when I'm crossing the street. I was having the ultrasound thing done on my boobs like about a year ago, and the ultrasound tech said to me, "Oh my God, your energy is so amazing. Can I set you up with my uncle?"
I love that.
So I was set up on a date while I was like naked, having my boobs like manhandled, and she's setting me up a date. She goes, "Oh my God, your energy is so amazing. You must meet my uncle."
I love it. I love it. And I love that, obviously your boobs are amazing too, but he commented on the energy.
It was it was the energy that that totally was. Yeah, yeah. And I
Love.
did go on a date with the uncle. He wasn't really my type, but it was funny. I mean, I said yes. That's the other thing. For God's sake, say yes and experiment and have fun, right? Be curious, meet people. Meet them in a public place. Don't do anything stupid, but meet them.
I agree.
What have you got to lose? You can always just say, hey, this was great, and 10 minutes later you walk out of there.
Absolutely. But women sometimes feel obligated that, once they have said yes, so now they have to stick to it. And if it's not working, the good girl, the pleasing girl, no, if that's something that you need to work on, that's a different story. Yeah. But yes, say yes. Stop rejecting someone because of some expectations that you have. It's just a drink. Just go have an experiment, and then you have your no to say, just no, thank you. That was enough. That was more than all I wanted from this experience.
Exactly. And so dropping the preconceived notions that you just touched on there, that's so key, dropping the preconceived notions about somebody. You don't actually know how you're going to feel about them until you meet them face to face. And so people will always judge a book by its cover or by some things that were said, and just meet them, have 5 or 10 minutes with them, and then decide. And, and if somebody asks me on a second date, I will often go, if the first date's sort of been okay, but I'm not 100% convinced, I will still give them a second date. I will always give them a second date. And then on the second date, I know for sure.
Oh, I completely agree with that. And I tell my clients the same thing, because what if he was a wreck? He was nervous. Men get nervous too on the first day. So he wasn't able to be confident as he possibly can, or, say the right thing. So if there are no red flags, if there are nothing that, you feel like absolutely hell no, then just go for the second one and be open to the opportunity.
Yes. I love that you tell your clients that. Absolutely great advice. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacquie. This was amazing. And like I said, I've got to rewatch it because there are just so many great things. Thank you so much. And ladies, Jackie's kindly offering a very generous free gift called The Sexy Truth. Jacquie, could you please quickly tell us what is it that people are going to get when they get this free book from you?
Sure. So we're calling it an ebook, but it's actually very short. It's not daunting. It's 25 pages or so. And it is just a little ebook on how to become irresistible to love and opportunity. And I go through the 6 S's of fabulous there in detail. So
I was hoping for that. Yes.
Yeah. We talk about fun, we talk about faith, and we talk about fabulousness. So those are the 3 sort of steps I go through in the book. And so I think they'll really love it. And so that's, go ahead and download that book. And I think the audience will really
Sounds amazing. I can't wait to read it myself. You can find the link, ladies, in the description of this video. Thank you so much again, Jacquie. This was fabulous. So many great things. Thank you for your time. And I cannot wait to do more of these amazing interviews with you.
You're so welcome, Shahzad. It's been my absolute pleasure and honor. And thank you for asking me. It's been fun.
Thank you. And I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. Go write down your takeaways, write it in your journals, and post it in the Facebook group. Lots of love to you. And I'll see you next time.